can, I'll talk like this. It'll be the final of the 1 meter for women. There are 12 going. And welcome back to Edinburgh, which is hosting the diving events at the Glasgow 2014 Commonwealth Games. It is day number 3. We've had 5 sessions so far, 3 more to come, and 2 more finals this evening. More medals to be awarded. Where they're going to go, well, we're really not too sure, especially in the 1 meter, which comes up first for women. It's a wide open field. And although there were a few people trying to make a charge for the line in the morning, it doesn't really matter. All they had to do is qualifying. We only lost 1 diver out of the starting 13, down to 12 for tonight's final. But must be said, it's looking a little bit like 2 Australians could be involved in the shake-up, and maybe 1 Canadian. Welcome to you from me, Bob Ballard. We will be also seeing Tom Daley in action for the first time here in Edinburgh, and he'll be going with James Denny, his 10-meter synchro partner, in the 10-meter platform final. And those are our 2 finals for tonight. I reckon around about 7:25 thereabouts for Tom Daley's 10-meter final. Now, we only have 4 pairs. Sadly, the Malaysian pair have withdrawn, so that means there will only be 2 medals awarded. There will be no bronze medal. We did have the same thing in Melbourne in 2006. So if there are only 4 teams or 4 duos, then that means that we reduce the amount of medals. So there will not be a bronze awarded, just a gold and a silver. A lot of interest for the home support in Grace Reed, 18-year-old from Edinburgh. That's the English contingent. I think you might recognize that face at the front. I'll be seeing him in action a little bit later on. But the 1 meter final for women, there will be 3 English divers in there, 1 Scottish, and 3 English divers not really in the mix this morning, but it doesn't really matter about the morning. It's whether you can get your act together and get the dives sorted for the evening. I should point you in the direction of Madison Keeney, who is going to be going number 10, i.e. 2 from the end. She is doing a very high list of dives in terms of tariff, which means that if she gets them right, basically she wins the gold. But because they have a very high level and degree of difficulty, they are more problematic and more likely to go wrong. She had 1 very poor dive this morning. It's one that she has a problem with all the time, apparently. It's her 3rd round dive. So we have the first 2 rounds, all pretty good, and then 3rd round, a little bit tricky. There's a start list for you. Alicia Blagg will go 2nd for England. Hannah Starling in the mix. You may remember Hannah from the Olympics in 2012 with that big, broad smile of hers. Well, she still has that, and she has advanced a great deal the last couple of years. Rebecca Gallantry already with a gold medal, as indeed has Alicia Blagg from the 3-meter synchro. But this might well be about the Australians and the Canadians tonight, if this morning's form is anything to go by. Good crowd in here on a Friday night. Weekend dawning in Edinburgh. A lot of people have asked why the event's not taking place in Glasgow. Basically, the Tollcross pool was refurbished for the swimming. They did start on a diving pit, but they are expensive things to have a 10, 3 and 1 board. You have to have the 5 and the 7.5 as well. So it's a very expensive operation to do all that. And I think they realized that they already had a ready-made venue in Edinburgh, and they're very happy to be hosting it here 42 or so miles up the road from Tollcross. They've held big events here recently. The World Series in Edinburgh last summer, whereas Tom Daley won the individual 10. And out come the divers for the 1 meter. They come out in the order in which they will dive. Tracy Tukiet, Alicia Blagg, and you hear that big roar for the 18-year-old Grace Reid. And not her first Commonwealth Games, her youngest ever representative for Scotland 4 years ago in Delhi at the age of 14. This is her pool. This is her stage. We don't expect her to get a medal, but she did dive very, very well this morning. Very consistently. Pretty much all the way through.
Gold medalist in the 3 meter synchronised competition. Representing England.
Here's the first of the English divers we will see. That's Alicia Blagg.
Competing on her senior debut for Australia. Representing Australia,
Georgia Sheehan, youngest of the competitors, 15 years of age, just turned 15 earlier. Well, I say earlier this month, we're of course in August now, but last month 15. As Emma Friesen. Hannah Starling, City of Leeds diver up next, 19 years of age. And this is where the big roar should happen. Cue everybody going a bit mad. Grace Reid, 18 years of age from Edinburgh. Born in Edinburgh, has lived in Edinburgh all her life and trains in this very pool. Next to her, one of the 3 English women involved, Rebecca Gallantry, born in Essex but trains and performs at the City of Leeds. Jennifer Abel of Canada from Montreal, the defending champion from Delhi. Chung Jun-hyung of Malaysia. Nice big broad smile from her. Now here's the one to watch, I believe. Madison Keeney. Born in New Zealand, raised in Australia. That's who she'll be diving for. Pamela Ware will be the last but one to go. And the best this morning was this young lady. Born in China and 22 years of age. She will go last of the 5 rounds. Last time round, it was Jennifer Abel, Charlene Stratton, who has retired, and Emily Haymans, who's retired. So there will be certainly 2 new medalists today. Massive fan club for the Scottish diver and indeed for the 3 English divers as well. And a fan contingent sprinkled around from different Commonwealth interests, the Australians, the Canadians and the Malaysians as well. All in the mix, all likely to do something tonight. It is a wide open competition. And on the evidence of what we saw this morning, there are 2 very strong Australians and 1 very strong Canadian. But how many times this week so far have we seen the prelims not quite be replicated in the evening? It happened last night with Jack Law after immensely impressive prelims. He couldn't back it up quite in the final, and that can sometimes happen. There were a lot of drop dives, or semi-drop dives anyway, by the English contingent this morning. They'll be looking to improve upon that greatly. But Leon's now joined me. I am intrigued to see exactly what Madison Keeney can do tonight, because you look at her dive list and it's completely different to anybody else's.
Yeah, she could knock this out of the park tonight, make no mistake. Do you know what? Oh, it's been said there might be an Aussie 1-2-3 here, so I don't know. This is going to be a really, really interesting contest. But yeah, the one to watch, start number 10, is Madison Keeney. She is completely in a different league when it comes to degree of difficulty. We'll talk you through it as she gets closer, but it looks like I'm reading the dive list for the men's competition, so she is a cut above when it comes to the degree of difficulty, but you've got to execute it, so let's see how that risk plays out.
Well, nobody hit 300 this morning. Can I tell you that the Australian trials, she hit nearly 350. Right, let's see how it unfolds, how it pans out over 5 rounds. There will be 12 divers. They go in reverse order from how they finished this morning. Tracy Tukiet of Malaysia will go first.
Oh, nice, clean, tidy opening round dive. You're going to get very familiar with this particular dive. An inward 1.5 somersaults in the pike position. Many of the girls opting for this in their first round. In fact, 9 out of the 12 are opting for this dive to open with. Standing backwards, spinning forwards towards the diving board. Oh, Tracy not so happy, but I think that's pretty good, 7.5s.
Well, 7.5s multiplied by the degree of difficulty. Remember, those marks with the lines through them do not count towards the total score. That's why she gets 54. First of the 3 English contingent in the lineup is Alicia Black. Didn't get off to the greatest of starts and didn't quite get a program going this morning. This would be a good place to start. You've seen what she needs to do from the previous dive. Exactly the same dive again, 2.4, inward 1.5.
Now that's a good start. Moving away from the diving board a fraction. Strong push, beautiful pike shape. Just leaving the dive a fraction short of vertical as she goes in. So she'll only get 7s, probably about the same as what she got this morning, maybe slightly less. So, some work to do already.
50.40 compared to 54 this morning, so slightly down on the start for Alicia Black. Now, Georgia Sheehan of Australia, first of the Australians to go, 15 years of age, she just turned, youngest member of the Australian team, and she goes with that back 1.5 somersaults with pike. Different dive for her.
Wow, beautiful dive. You see her excellent rip entry into the water there. Hardly any splash being thrown up at all. Great elevation, beautiful pike shape, bending at the hips, toe point into the water. That should get 8s or above. Only 15 years old. Third Australian qualifying this final. That's a great opening round.
8s are never bad. 8s are very good in this situation. 55.20, and that puts her into the lead early on. Now, Emma Friesen, 25-year-old from Canada. One of the judges is the mother of her best friend. Inward 1.5 somersaults with pike 2.4, and so you'll see this an awful lot through the course of the first round. Most of the competitors deciding this is the best way to get their program underway, and Emma is doing likewise.
Oh, that's better than this morning. Emma looked pretty steady. She was a little bit rough around the edges this morning, not quite entering the water as smoothly as she has done here. That's beautiful elevation from the diving board. Straight up and down. Yeah, 7.5s.
Let's see how generous the judges are feeling tonight. They've actually given her exactly the same mark that she got this morning. 54 dead, 7.5s. And it's fine for a start. Now, you'll see this every time she does a dive. Big smile, looks up at the crowd, waits for the referee to blow the whistle, and then gets her game head on. All of a sudden, that smile disappears, and studied concentration on a forward 1.5 somersault with 1 twist this time.
Yeah, that's better than it was this morning. It's only a low degree of difficulty, 2.2. Obviously, the girls have to do different dives each time, different directions. This is the twist. This is the first twist that we've seen. There was the twist, 1.5 somersaults in this occasion. She might get an 8 if she does. That's good, because it could get her close to 50. There you go.
50.60, not too shabby at all. A couple of 7.5s. Hello, Hannah. Welcome to the competition with an 8 thrown in for good measure as well. So pretty much everybody upping their game. Now, here comes the cheer. The raucous crowd in Edinburgh greeting their one and only daughter for this event. Grace Reed. And again, because you've seen it before, you'll know exactly what to expect. Hopefully we'll see somewhere in the mid-50s for her inward 1.5 somersaults with pike for Grace Reed.
Oh, fabulous start for Grace. Very composed. This is her second Commonwealth Games, would you believe? Just 14 when she attended Delhi 4 years ago. Beautiful start. Safe distance from the diving board. Just losing her feet as she goes in. Hopefully the home advantage means the judges will have missed that. They don't get the replays, of course. If they've missed it, she'll get eights. Well, maybe they saw it.
Yeah, 7.5s and mid-50s we asked for. 54 is pretty much on the button there. And a decent start, very good start for Grace Reed. Now already with a gold medal to her name on the 3-meter synchro, coming down a couple of meters for the 1-meter event, Rebecca Gallantry. Say it along with me now if you want. 2.4, inward 1.5 somersaults.
Oh, nice dive from Rebecca, good balance. Rocking from the ankles to start to move the board, swinging the arms, throwing forward as if you're throwing a football, moving the hips away. And that entry into the water is superb. That should get 8s, and if it does, she'll go top of the leaderboard.
Well, all the English competitors so far have improved pretty much, or at least been as good as they were this morning. 57.60 for Rebecca, who goes into the lead in the first round. Jennifer Abel of Canada next up. 2.4 on that inward 1.5 somersaults. 57.7 will put her into the lead, which is currently held by Rebecca Gallantry.
Well, I was speaking to a coach in the gym at lunchtime randomly, a good friend of mine, Archer, and I said, so what about Jen on a 1-meter then? He said, well, we haven't been training it. This is the first time she's really done any 1-meter. She is, of course, a defending champion. She's exceptional on the 3-meter, and that's where her focus is. So the 1-meter is a bit of fun, and there's some 8s for fun there.
Yeah, matching what Rebecca Gallantry did with her dive. 57.60. Joint leaders then at the moment as we head towards the end of the first round. 5 rounds in the women's, 6 rounds in the men. Only those 3 middle marks counting towards their total score. So when you see the lines through the marks on the screen, that means they are not included. Chun Hyung of Malaysia is 9th up.
Oh, Chung, I really like her style of diving. So aesthetically pleasing, beautiful lines, good toe point, heavily strapped ankle there. That's not uncommon in diving. You're doing lots of heavy gym work, jumping, plyometrics work, so your ankles do get a bit of a beasting at all times. So, not uncommon to be held together by sticky tape. That's a good dive.
Very good dive, as good as Gallantry and Abel. Finds herself at the top. Now this is the girl to watch. Not with this dive, because this is a very rudimentary compared to the other one she's going to do. Dive. She's going to get her 2.3 out of the way, and then she's going to just turn up the switch a little bit, turn up the dial, and go up into the 3s very shortly. But we'll watch her 2.3, back 1.5 for Madison Keeney of Australia.
Yeah, you can just see from the takeoff how much power this young 18-year-old has got. Swinging her arms, jumping up. Look how high she goes up there. Just throwing up a little bit of splash as she goes in. So she's left herself a bit of work to do. But boy, if anyone can do some work, it's this young lady. She has got some chunky dives coming. Big degree of difficulty, high risk, but high reward if you get them right.
If she's going to win the gold, is going to have to come from last to first. That'll be an interesting transition, won't it? Because she is last at the moment. We have 2 more to go, so she's not yet cast adrift after the first round. Pam Ware of Canada. And the last 2 divers in this round will go with the one that's been favoured by most of the divers, that inward 1.5.
Yeah, Pamela just moving the dive away from the diving board a little bit too much there. As she swings her arms, she just moves the hips back a little bit too early. So it gives the impression that she hasn't got as much height as she would have got. That is straight up and down though, so it's going to get 8s, which will put her top or near the top of the leaderboard. Quite a few 2.4s already in the bag scoring around this. Is that right?
I have my diving concertina with me. We have 4 divers all together. I'll play you a tune in a moment. Esther Chin of Australia, formerly of China. So we know she's got a great pedigree because, as we know, China produce generally the best divers in the world. She's going for, yeah, you got it, an inward 1.5 somersaults with pike.
Oh, nice. I think she's just thrown up a little bit too much splash to be joining the other 4 ladies who are occupying equal first position at the moment. It's not uncommon to start with this dive, though. It's a relatively straightforward dive. You don't have a hurdle step to contend with. A standing start, so it's inward 1.5 in the pike position, just marginally over-rotated, so not quite up at the top of the leaderboard, but pretty close.
3 7.5s give her 54 total, so it's all rather bunched up after round 1. Can be hard to separate this lot out, and we can't at the moment. Canadian, English diver, Malaysia, another Canadian in the top grouping. And then we have 5, and then we have 4 divers in 6th place. Chin, Reed, Tukiet are up there, and then we have Starling, Blagg and Keeney at the bottom. I don't expect her to stay there for very long. Round 2 of the 1 meter springboard for women. Nobody really showing their hand as yet, but the degree of difficulty will go up a little bit. So we go massively up for the Australian. 2.6 here for Tracy Tukiet of Malaysia, forward 2.5 somersaults.
Well, it's finishing a little bit close to the water, not quite having enough room to complete the dive efficiently enough to get more than probably 5.5. She is close to the water. She doesn't break her form, though, but you can see they're still rolling into the water, almost still in her pike shape. I like her expression. She's like, oh, I'm not quite sure what to make of that.
No, that wasn't how we discussed it earlier on, Mr. Coach, was it? No. 3 6s for her. By the way, just a quick explanation of what that wheel does. We've been asked again, and a lot of people are arranged to know what that white wheel is as they prepare for the dive.
Sure, that's the fulcrum. The further back you have it, the more flex the board has. So providing you can wait for it, it means you might even go higher. So the fulcrum quite far back there for Alicia Blagg. Oh, that was the dive that she made a mess of earlier in the prelims. She actually over-rotated in the morning. That is a drastic under-rotation. So she's played it too safe. She's come out early because she was over-rotating in the prelims. And that, I think, is the final push for the podium over for Alicia. She will now just be trying to claw her way back into contention, but that's a drop.
Yeah, not at all pleased with that. Understandable reasons, 4.5s to 5. Basically, the rule of thumb is if you're under 6, you're saying not going to be pushing for a medal and you're not doing the dive as well as you'd like. 7, 7.5, 8, pretty much on the money. Georgia Sheehan of Australia, 15 years of age, last month, going with a reverse 1.5 somersaults.
Well, she manages to just about control that dive. Her hurdle step, quite powerful as she comes in. That's the 1 step into the 2. She doesn't land on the end of the diving board, so she has to skip forward a little bit with her knees, and then she arches quite heavily through her lower back to pull the dive in. She does okay. I won't see any 8s from the judges, but she managed to avert missing the dive.
7s and 7.5. If you look down the bottom of the screen, the ones with no lines through them will count towards the total, and you multiply that by the degree of difficulty, giving her 51.6. Emma Friesen could have represented the USA because her mother is American. She has dual citizenship, but she is diving here for Canada. Forward 2.5 somersaults with pike for the first of 3 Canadians.
Wow, that's a good dive as well. Very precise. It's 2.6 for 2.5 somersaults in the pike position. Squeezing into the pike shape so the chest is flat on the thighs. She spots the water, manages to punch a hole with her hands as she goes through. Doesn't quite straighten out enough, so the marks will reflect that. Yeah, only 7s rather than 8s.
The 7 is okay, certainly compared to a couple of the dives we've seen recently. 54.60 And Emma Friesen just moves in front of the rest, but the bigger, stronger, and perhaps on the evidence this morning, better diver still to come. Hannah Starling gives us the smile. Then all of a sudden, yes, if she goes into a different mode completely, forward 2.5 somersaults with pike, 2.6 for Hannah.
Nice, she had some work to do, a little bit off the pace after her first round dive. This is a higher degree of difficulty, 2.6, the forward 2.5 in the pike position. Beautiful board timing, up she goes. Plenty of time to complete the dive, just a little bit of splash, washing over vertical, a tad. Still very good.
Marks for Hannah are 7.5s across the board. That brings a smile back to her face, 58.50. So if you're still a novice, don't really understand diving, you've seen that dive, you know how good it looked or your interpretation of it, you'll get a chance straight away to look at the same dive performed by Scotland's Grace Reid. 2.6 degree of difficulty, 6th place for Grace, joint 6th after round 1.
Oh, well done, Grace, just waiting patiently. She did land with her toes just over the end of the diving board, as you can see there. She waits patiently for the board to recoil and throw her up into the air. She controls that beautifully, considering she could have been in all sorts of trouble on that takeoff.
7s it is for Grace Reid again. 7s are very much to the fore in this round with these dives. Rebecca Gallantry has a slightly different order of her dives, whereas everybody seems to be going for the dive we just saw for Grace Reid. Becky just shuffling the pack a little bit as she goes for a back 1.5 somersaults with pike. You've seen this before. It's 2.3. Definitely no pucks involved on this one.
Oh, she's just let the dive flick over as she enters the water. Takeoff is good. It's often the same mistake that she produces on this dive, whether it's on the 1 metre or the 2.5 on the 3 metre, just tips over with her feet. She did a great job, obviously, in the women's 3 metre synchro to win gold with Alicia Blagg. That's going to be slightly costly. She's pleased, but 6s will move her off the pace.
Yeah, 41 does not get the job done, I'm afraid, from her point of view. Back 1.5 somersaults for Jennifer Abel as well in the pike position, 2.3. Here is our defending champion, who knows, because she looked around her, see what the rest of the field is like, that she's going to have quite a job trying to defend her title here.
Well, actually, I think she has something to say about that. That is much, much better from Jen. This is her lowest degree of difficulty, 2.3. You can just see the height that she gains from the diving board. That could get 8s, and if it does, that'll get 15 points, no, 10 points more than Rebecca. And so she opens up a bit of a lead.
Into the lead she goes. Just ahead of Hannah Starling with Emma Friesen and Grace Reid in joint 3rd right now. But we have another 4 divers to go. And here is our current joint leader, Jung Jun-hyung of Malaysia. And it's the forward 2.5, 2.6 once again.
Oh, she had a little bit of a knee tremble there, did you see? So she wasn't quite on the end of the diving board and her body seemed to jolt a little bit as she went to see, oh, knee tremble. She manages to get the height she needs, her head moving as she spots each somersault. Yeah, so that was nearly a full buckle, which would have been unfortunate. So she manages to hold tight, if you like, and get 5, 5.5, 6.
Here's one for the teenagers. That was over Jack Douglas there. She was going to throw her body in a strange contortion before she got in, but ultimately okay, if not great. Now, hello. Forget your 2s. Let's get into the 3s. That's what she's thinking. That's what she does. Madison Keeney, 3.0, reverse 2.5.
Oh, wow, her toes were over the end. She was hanging 10. Now, that dive is incredibly difficult. The easier option is obviously the reverse 1.5, which is a pike, which is only 2.4. This is 3.0, and she does so well on this. Well, it's a gamble. It hasn't quite paid off fully, but it hasn't taken her the other way. So she's still in the mix. 57 is good enough.
We have a real bunch situation here at the moment. The top 6 are separated by 8 points. I think we'll get a few more joining that club very shortly. So 2 more. And where there's a lot of repetition in this particular round. Forward 2.5 for the Canadian.
Oh, that's good from Pam. Over-rotated as she went in. Looking for that vertical splashless entry. There wasn't much splash, but there is definitely an over-rotation. So watch here as the calves and heels go in, moving away from the diving board, showing the dive, going over. 7s probably. Could have quite easily been 8s and 8.5s because that was a great takeoff.
Look good until the entry. 7s across the board. As high as 7.5 won't count. As low as 6, that won't count either. 22-year-old, formerly from China, moved to Sydney in 2009, has become an Australian citizen. It's Esther Chin with a forward 2.5.
Well, she was diving well this morning, top qualifier. She is very consistent, so all 5 of her dives this morning. And so far, that's 2 out of 2, so that will put her very much in the mix, if not on the top spot. Beautiful dive, 2.6 degree of difficulty. Got a competition on her hands.
Well, we did say it was a wide open competition and very difficult to call. Certainly not one you want to lay any money on, because there is a good half a dozen here who could easily claim the title. And that's the way it looks after round 2 with 3 to go. Esther Chin just ahead, and I do mean just ahead, by 0.3 of a mark over Pamela Ware. Canada in 3rd. Hannah Starling looking okay, maybe in a position to pounce. Emma Friesen and Grace Reed in joint 5th. And at the bottom of the pile at the moment are the 2 English divers, Gallantry and Blagg. That is a gap that they can make up. Nobody has really cast adrift yet. I think we have Alex Salmond in the audience there. Tracy Tukiet of Malaysia will start round 3 for us. And she has chosen to go with a back 1.5 somersaults with pike, 2.3. You may be familiar with this dive by now.
Well, you can see the difference, can't you, in the height that some of these athletes get. Tracy, in particular, nowhere near getting the height as some of her fellow competitors. She does a reasonable job there, quite tidy. You can see where the judges' marks will be lower because of the height differential.
Well, she looked quite happy with the last dive. Not quite so happy with that one. No, that's a grimace. That's certainly not a smile from Tracy Tukiet. Alicia Blagg currently in last place. Time to make a move, Alicia. A lot went for this in round 2. She goes for it in round 3. Forward 2.5 somersaults with pike.
There you go. That's an example of what this young lady can do. She's only 17. She already has a Commonwealth gold medal in the bag from day 1 of the diving. And this is an absolute beauty. This should get 8s. It's 2.6. That's her best dive of the day. And time to start moving up that leaderboard.
Yeah, we don't see her at the bottom, and she won't be after that. 59.8, 143.8. Only 3 divers are doing 3 and above, by the way. They're nearly all in the 2 range, 2 low or 2 mid. So we have 3 divers, including Rebecca Gallantry, who are doing 3.0 or above. Georgia Sheehan of Australia, currently in 7th place. National team debut for Australia. Reverse 1.5 somersaults, 1.5 twists.
She's done a good job there. Hurdle steps a little bit inconsistent, so she isn't on the end of the diving board. Then she has to jump away and spin backwards towards it. She does a good job. A little bit of a wobble on the twist. Wasn't quite sure whether she'd squared it up efficiently enough. The toes, her feet almost crossed over each other, if you like a swimmer would with the hands in a streamline position. But she still gets some good marks there. The degree of difficulty helps.
The rookie doing okay. Into first place for the time being. Won't remain there for very long. But that's a decent return on that dive. Emma Friesen of Canada, 4th up. From Vancouver originally. Has been studying at the University of Hawaii. Back 1.5 somersaults for her.
Or just faltering on the entry. So the takeoff is good. She remains in a pike position. Just a tad too long, and then over she goes. A bit of splash. Coming back towards us.
Yeah, I think you can now kind of mark off a few of the divers in terms of medal potential and medal prospects. I think she's one that probably won't be in the shake-up at the end unless she can get something very radical going on. Starling just relishes this kind of atmosphere, as she showed in a London 2012 environment. So she's doing in Edinburgh too. Back 1.5 somersaults with pike, 2.3 for Hannah, currently in 4th place.
Oh, that's good from Hannah. It needed to be. This is her lowest degree of difficulty. All the girls choosing to use this dive. So it's like for like. It depends when you use it in your list. You don't have to use them in a specific order. I think she's going to get 7.5s, which if she does is great because that will keep her in the business end of the field, which is where she wants to be to strike for a medal.
Hannah with all 7.5s to count, 51.75. Well, you'll know from the noise, which has gone up a notch or two at the Royal Commonwealth Pool, Grace Reed is about to perform her 3rd round dive. 2.6 is the degree of difficulty. Forward 1.5 somersaults with 2 twists. Currently 5th is Grace Reed.
Oh, fabulous dive from Grace. This wasn't particularly good this morning. This is her most complicated dive. 2.6 degree of difficulty. Forward 1.5 somersaults, double twist, neat and tidy. If she gets over 7s on this, she is going to be super pleased. Well done, Grace. Great work.
Well, somebody ought to take a snap of that. She's actually in the lead at the moment. She's actually gone into 1st place with that dive ahead of Sheehan and Starling and Friesen. Rebecca Gallantry not hit the 3 figures yet, but this is her big dive in terms of degree of difficulty. The only time she hits the 3s, reverse 2.5 somersault. Get this right and she will project herself a little bit further up the leaderboard.
Oh, it all went wrong on the takeoff. This dive is so complicated, high risk, and you really need a good takeoff. Now, the hurdle step, she lands back from the end of the diving board. Look at that, almost 10 centimetres back. Has to sacrifice some of the height to get safely away from the diving board. She still does very well. That could have been much shorter of vertical. She pulls it in okay. It'll probably get 5.5s.
Yeah, rather jaunty angle for Becky on that. And that is kind of a trump card if she gets it right, but not on this occasion. Defending champion from Canada, Jennifer Bell, into the forward 2.5.
Oh, just almost there. So she rolled into the water. She was trying to pike save. So the forward 2.5 is good. The entry into water is just going a little bit over, so she tries to roll. You can see her there, rolling very quickly, doing a fast forward roll under the water to try and give the impression that she wasn't going over a vertical, but the judges did notice.
They did. That's where they marked her down to 7s and 7.5. I did say that it's going to be very hard for her to defend her title the way that the others are looking today, and the way that she looked this morning. But she has just edged in front, only marginally so, Grace Reed. Chung Jun-hyung is another one who's chosen round 3 for her back 1.5 somersaults with pike. Actually down in 9th at the moment, a bit lower than we thought that she might be at this stage. Chance to rectify that here.
No, she faltered on the takeoff on her last dive, and then this time just leaving that one a little bit short and vertical. Looks okay. It's coming out of the dive a little bit too early and not quite completing the dive. So she will fall off because that's only 2.3 degree of difficulty.
Yeah, only 46 total. That'll send her in free fall backwards. Now, just a little pointer on this one coming up from Madison Keeney. This is the dive she fears most. This is the one she has most problems with by her own admission. And this is the one that could possibly derail her chances of a gold. Had problems with it this morning, has had problems with it in competition over the last couple of years. Let's see how that inward 2.5 somersaults with tuck goes this time. Round 3 worth 3.1.
Wow, there's the gauntlet right there. If you have a bogey dive and you get it right, it is an absolute boost. This is her highest degree of difficulty, 3.1. She's a little bit tight to the diving board, but she has absolutely nailed it. This is huge. This will prove to be critical. What a dive.
7.5s, and on that kind of tariff, that takes her rocketing up the standings into first place. That wet gauntlet is ready to be either snatched by somebody or taken away. Pam Ware, follow that, as they say. Well, she can't in terms of degree of difficulty because there's only 2.3 this one. So there will be a big disparity, but 60 or more will put her in the lead for the time being on the back 1.5.
No, feeling the pressure, shaking her head as soon as she comes up. She knows that that is potentially her medal chance blown. She was right up there in the mix, and now a costly error. Over she goes, surfboard moment, splash coming up, back towards us here in the commentary position. Ouch. Ouch, not because it hurt, ouch because that score hurts.
Well, it hurt her pride most certainly to only pick up 29.9 marks. That is the lowest return we've had so far. All of a sudden, almost like the smiling assassin there. Esther Chin going, OK, thank you very much. I'll have a go at the back 1.5 now. And she is in a very good position to launch herself forward. She is number 1 at the moment. And 60.25 or more will keep her in that position.
Well, it's interesting what pressure does, isn't it? It's good, but it isn't particularly excellent, which is what it needed to be. Short and vertical. She didn't want to do what Pam did, which is go surfing over, so she's played it safe, stopped the dive spinning too early, ended up short, and now we have a change on the leaderboard. The pack has been shuffled.
It has. And you're my dolly dealer. Esther Chin had a big smile on her face when she went on the board. Now has a big scowl on her face because she's dropped from 1st to 6th. Madison Keeney, we told you to watch out for her. And there she is at the top. Jennifer Abel in 2nd. And look at that. If we could just freeze time now, Grace Reed would have a bronze medal.
Well, look at that. The 3 Aussies in the top 6. And there has been rumours it could be top 3. Let's wait and see.
And where with that... well, botched dive, say not a drop dive, but a dive that didn't go quite well, has dropped right to number 12. 2 rounds to go of the women's 1 meter springboard. And there are 12 points separating 1 to 5 at the moment. Tracy Tukiet's reverse 1.5 coming up with tuck. Oops.
Oops, indeed. She's gone for the reverse 1.5 in the tuck position. This is the lowest degree of difficulty we'll see today at 2.1. And because of that takeoff with her toes over the end, she just doesn't quite make it at all. Having to arch her back excessively. She's moving to the side of the diving board. The judges don't get the joy of the replay. That's just for us. They input the marks immediately, as soon as the diver hits the water. The judges are required to input the marks, and those are the marks for that particular dive.
No victory, I'm afraid, of those V's for the Malaysian today. Alicia Black, 10th place. Not making the headway we'd like to see from her. That could change with her back 1.5 somersaults, 2.3. Round number 4 for Alicia Black.
Oh, that's another excellent dive. What a shame she's taken a couple of dives to get into it. 3rd round dive and now the 4th round dive have been right up there in the 8s. That is very good diving. Has she left herself too much to do? I think maybe. Let's wait and see. She is the opening, well, one of the opening divers of this 4th round, so let's see.
Do you know what that look means? It means, why didn't I do that before? Suddenly I'm in a routine, suddenly I'm in a groove, suddenly I'm diving well. But she has just left it a little bit too late to be challenging for medals. Not this young lady, though. She is the youngest of our competitors at 15 years of age, just turned 15 as well. Year 10 student at Lord's Hill she is. Forward 2.5 for Georgia Sheehan.
Well, she has a particular skill for being able to complete the dives very well off some dodgy takeoffs. Look at that, way back from the end of the diving board. Manages with those long legs to stay calm and complete the dive very well. It won't score 8, which is potentially what she would have been looking for to make a move on the top 6, but she's already in the top 6 after the previous round, into the lead.
Our next diver from Canada, Emma Friesen, has a motto. There's always pressure. You have to be ready to own up to it and deal with it. You have to be a good loser. Well, at the moment, she's 9th place. And if she wants to get in the medals, something has to happen pretty quick. Like this, the reverse 1.5 somersaults from the Canadian.
Yeah, it's pretty average. It's okay. It's ordinary. And it needs to be more than that if you want to push for the medals. She has been consistent. This one just over-rotating, so she's only going to get 6.5s, I think. 6s, 6.5s from the judges. Maybe a 7. She did get some great height from the diving board.
49.2, doesn't break the 50 mark this time, which means she probably won't advance much. She may actually slip back a place or two. Smile already on the face. Dive already launched and ready to go in that computer of her head. How's Starling going to go for a reverse? 1.5 somersault with Pike. She's in 5th place, so in attainable distance of the top 3.
Oh, it was a terrific takeoff. Just a fraction over-rotated as she goes in, tipping over a vertical. That was almost 8.5s and 9s, and it will end up with 7.5s, which is still good, and she'll still be in contention. It's going to be tight.
Yeah, amazing what just that little bit can make in terms of points. We could have been looking at 8s there, rather than 7.5s and a 7. And those half-a marks all add up when you're talking about 5 points between 1st and 2nd at the moment. Diver number 6, come in please. Grace Reed ready to perform. And James Heatley and now Grace Reed are really been eating and drinking off this atmosphere in the Edinburgh pool. Reverse 1.5 somersaults.
Oh, and she continues to do so. Putting everything in. See, power is nothing without control. Grace giving it some beans on the start, but still managing to control, just washing over slightly, almost identical to Hannah Starling, who did the same dive right before her. She's flying high on this home support.
Crowd love it. She loves it. And she could be still in and around the medals, should still be in and around the medals with that. Has taken the lead for the time being. Rebecca Gallantry's 3.0 didn't quite work, so she has a bit of ground to make up. Forward 2.5 somersaults with Pike is how she's going to try and make up that ground.
Well, that'll help a little bit. 2.6 degree of difficulty. Many of the other girls have used this already, so this is Rebecca's chance in round 4 to make up some ground. A little bit short as she enters the water. Just need to wait in the Pike shape a fraction longer.
Total marks 54.60 for Becky Gallantry. Already with a gold, of course, from the synchro on the 3-meter board. So a lot to remember this Glasgow 2014 Commonwealth Games for. She won it in Delhi. Can she win it in Edinburgh? Reverse 1.5 for Jennifer.
Wow, she's such a competitor. She was all over the place, really, this morning in the prelims. And even then, not quite landing on the end as she would need to, but she goes so high. She does not want to relinquish her title. Gold in Delhi, and she is very much in the hunt for a podium finish here. Will it be the gold? We'll wait and see.
Ready, willing and able to win for a second time round. Chung Jun Hyung of Malaysia. It's looked impressive this week, but not quite as impressive tonight, which is why she finds herself in 8th place. Reverse 1.5 with Pike for the Malaysian.
Oh, beautiful dive. Great leg line, toe point, just washing over as she enters the water. It'll still get 8. It is a cracker. I think she may have left herself too much to do to challenge for the medals with just one dive to go for Cheung.
Takes her over 200, but she's quite a way short of Jennifer Rebel at the moment. 228.75, plays 205.40 now. Somebody who quit the 10-meter board after stress fractures in her wrist and is an aspiring astrophysicist. If it all goes wrong in diving, not going wrong so far though. 3.0, forward 3.5 for Madison Keeney.
That'll be the commentator's curse right there. That's a restart. How many times have you done that?
What happens now then, Leah?
So it's a restart. We've seen this a couple of times. So she will now attempt the dive again, and there will be a 2-point deduction from each judge because of the restart. This is a huge dive.
It's absolutely nothing to do with me. Forward 3.5. Madison Keeney, start again.
Oh, she has done a marvellous job, because that takeoff wasn't particularly good either. She had all her toes over the end of the diving board. Somehow she manages to complete that dive. Well done. So there will be a 2-point deduction. So when the marks come up, I'll explain exactly what happens. She might even get 7s on that. And if she does, that is a sterling and a phenomenal effort. I am so impressed, because she's managed to salvage that. Wow, okay, so 6.5 reads 4.5, 7 reads 5, 6 reads 4, 7 reads 5, etc. So the total is 42. Well done, that girl. Wow.
Yeah. Top of the shot in the last round, but no longer. That means that she's plummeted from 1st to 4th. And maybe that medal is starting to evaporate before her very eyes. Pam Ware for Canada, 3.0 for her. Only one of 3 divers doing 3s. Reverse 2.5 somersaults with tuck. It's a big one.
Well, she nailed this morning, and she's pretty much done the same again. Just when she needed it, she was right at the bottom of the pack after a disastrous previous round dive. That will help a lot. We'll move up to the middle of the pack, but I think she might have left herself a little bit too much to do for a medal, but who knows. 67.5, that's huge.
It is. 7.5. It was a huge dive though. 3.0 with all the risk attached to it, and it's worth taking the risk because it gets big marks. Esther Chin was in 1st, now finds herself in 6th. Here comes her reverse 1.5 somersaults with Pike, 2.4, 66 to go 2nd.
That's very good. Very good, very neat, very tidy. Beautiful takeoff, up and away, reaches back for the water with those hands grabbed, punching a hole in. She could get close to 60 points, and if she does, then she will be squeezing up there in the top 6.
End of round 4, 61.20. Esther Chin for Australia. Now, look at this scoreboard. Crowd have already seen it. Now you can too. Jennifer Abel, defending champion, in the lead. Grace Reid of Scotland in 2nd. Then a triumvirate of Australia, 3, 4 and 5. But a word of caution from Leon Taylor.
Yeah, so this is interesting. So we can all get excited because Grace is in silver medal position currently. However, she has got a 2.3 degree of difficulty dive to finish. Everyone else has got a mixed bag of 2.6s, 2.5s, 3.0 actually from Pamela. So it's tough.
But she's 2nd for the time being. Everybody else falters, and she doesn't. There is a medal up for grabs for Scotland's Grace Reid. Tracy Tukiet out of contention in final place. Back 1.5 somersaults, 1.5 twists for the Malaysian. This is how she will finish off her program.
Oh, it's better than this morning. I remember it was a real shambles this morning. That is upgraded. Swinging the arms, 1.5 twists, squeezing around the 1.5 subs, just too low to the water there to earn any more than a 4.5 or a 5 from the judges. It's a 2.5. Well done, Tracy.
2:05.75 is where she will finish, and likely to finish either 11th or 12th place on the basis of that dive. Final thrust for Alicia Black, who hasn't really been a thrust. It's kind of been a bit stop and start today. 10th place, hasn't broken the 200 barrier yet. She will with this. Reverse 1.5 somersaults with 1.5 twists.
What a great dive from Alicia. She's just so good at timing the board. Waiting, waiting, waiting. Up she goes. That'll be high 50s. Maybe even close to 60 points. Degree of difficulty 2.6. Great dive to finish, just faltering early on in her program. Well done, Alicia.
58.5, but sad to say, she's in danger of possibly finishing bottom of the pile with that. Georgia Sheehan of Australia, currently in 3rd place. 15-year-old, her first senior event for Australia, and it's the Commonwealth Games. Inward 1.5 somersaults with pike, 2.4. She could nail a bronze at worst here, if this is good.
Wowee, it needed to be exceptional, and it was. It was spectacular dive. What an absolute beauty. She'll get 9s on this, and therefore, even though it's 2.4 degree of difficulty, if she gets close to 60 points, this 15-year-old from Australia could be on the podium.
8.5, 8.5 and 8, and I think she already knows something special is about to happen to her, providing nobody else really does something exceptional, and there'll have to be a lot of them to do it to unsettle her and unseat her from 3rd place. It's possible she could get 2nd place. Emma Friesen, never really in contention today. Got herself into the final relatively comfortably, but hasn't backed it up. It's a back 1.5 somersaults, 1.5 twists yet again to finish with in the free position.
Oh, it's a tidy final dive from Emma. One of her most complicated, back 1.5 somersaults. Here is the 1.5 twist, then need to re-pike. Keep the toes pointed, legs together, which she does. She'll get 7s. And about the same total score as she did in the prelims. So she has been consistent all day. Consistent. In fact, it's almost, what is it, identical, really?
Yeah. 52.5 key has been repeating itself quite a few times with her. Right. Hannah Starling to usurp Georgia Sheehan. You need 9s on this. 64.95 to be precise. If she got 9s on this, she would go into the lead for the time being, but it's a lot to ask. Inward 1.5 somersaults with pike, 2.4. Hannah's final dive.
Oh, it was a good effort. That won't be good enough for 9s. She over-rotates on this, just drops her heels and shifts her bottom back a little bit, moving away from the diving board and therefore causing the over-rotation that we see there. This will get 7s, and I don't think that'll be good enough for a medal. She will be close.
Hannah Starling's day is done. Yeah, just talking with a coach about what went right and what went wrong, but nonetheless, still pleased with the performance. 2:64.05. Now Grace Reed. Looks cool, looks calm, looks collected. 2.3, a little less tariff on this than some of the other divers, most of the other divers in the final round, but if she nails this, a back 1.5 somersault with pike, the sky is the limit. A medal is most certainly in the offing.
Oh, she's done a really good job. That will not get 8.5s. It's a good dive. She backs away from the diving board a little bit. It's a good pike shape. She's probably only going to get 7s because, as you see here, just bending her knees a little bit too early as she goes in the water. It's 2.3. She's going to be close to the medals. I don't know whether that will be good enough. I'm so proud of her. She's done so well. She'll have a waiting game now.
269.40, just on the cusp of the 50. Could have done with about 5 or 10 more marks there, Grace, but you know, you cannot be critical of that performance by the 18-year-old. She knows this venue very well, trains here all the time, and that familiarity is certainly shown here today. Reverse 1.5 somersaults, 1.5 twists, at the risk of repetition, because you'll hear it a lot in round 5 from Rebecca Gallantry.
Solid dive to finish from Rebecca. She's been there or thereabouts today. That'll finish. She'll probably finish middle of the pack. 1.5 twists, 1.5 somersaults. 2.6 degree of difficulty. She'll be just behind her teammate Hannah Starling, I think, maybe just in front of Alicia today.
Yeah, Grace Reed at the moment in 2nd place, Starling in 3rd. Gallantry with those marks moves into 4th. But we have another 5 divers still to go, including the defending champion, who is numero uno at the moment. Reverse 1.5, one more time, Jennifer Abel.
Yeah, that's good enough to go straight into the lead. Still some divers to go, but at the moment, the defending champion will top the leaderboard. 1.5 somersaults, 1.5 twists. Good dive, 7.5s coming her way. She has upped her game considerably this evening, and wow, could it be back-to-back titles?
Do you know, it's very hard to see anybody overtaking her with that. 58.50, it is still mathematically possible, but the likes of Esther Chin and Madison Keeney will have to dive out of their socks, relatively speaking. They don't wear socks, but if they were, they'd be diving out of them.
Fair enough.
Jung Jun Hyung, 2.6. Her medal prospects were dashed some time ago. Same dive to finish with.
Oh, it's a classy, classy takeoff. Just burying her head a little bit as she checks out of the twist into the repike and then flips over as she goes in. Over rotation. We'll get 7s. Could quite easily have been a lot more. But as Bob mentioned, her medal hopes slipped away earlier in the programme.
54.6 for the Malaysian. Now, is there one last twist? Well, there will be a twist in this one, and a couple of somersaults as well. 3.2 degree of difficulty, Madison Keeney. Now, this is worth big, big points. If it's a big, big dive, that is. Forward 2.5, one twist.
Oh my goodness me, the dive of the competition just when she needed it the most. And you know what that means? That means that she will be on the podium. This is a big dive. That's not good enough to catch Abel. That might be good enough to put her into silver medal position because this is huge. 3.2 degree of difficulty. She could get more than 65 and she does.
Oh, yes.
Yes, and she's in 2nd.
67.20. I did say it was a big one. She flunked her previous big dive, but got herself back in check. Also had a little walk around, maybe listen to some music, and a chat with the coach. Got her head back in order, and that was the evidence of it. 6 points behind the leader, so not quite guaranteed that silver yet, because Pam Ware might have something to say about it. 77 to take it into the lead on this, and this is a 3.0 as well.
Yeah, not going to get there with that. She just falters on the takeoff, skipping off the diving board a little bit too soon. Hips go forward, knees bend, doesn't get enough height, finds it very tricky to square out the dive, so she will not be in the medals. I don't think that's good enough to take out Grace, who's unfortunately in 4th place at the moment. So Pamela will be disappointed because she made 2 mistakes and they cost her a Commonwealth Games medal.
Now, only one diver can prevent Jennifer Abel from retaining her title, defending the title she won in Delhi. It is this Australian, Esther Chin, 71. on this 2.6 reverse, 1.5 somersaults with 1.5 twists will get it done for gold. Otherwise, it's going to Canada.
Oh, it's a beautiful dive, an absolute beauty. It's not worth 9s. Is it worth 8.5s? Is it worth 8s? Because that's what she needs to get on the podium. This is going to be incredibly close. I think she will get close to the podium. Will she? Because her teammate George is very close. This is going to be super tight. Oh, she does.
Yeah. Talk about super tight. She's won it by 0.05, the bronze medal. Georgia Sheehan misses out by 0.05 of a mark.
Ouch.
That is almost unbelievable. We had a tie yesterday. We nearly had a tie for third here. 0.05. Look at it. There's the evidence for you on the screen. 278.65 plays 278.60 for the bronze. Esther Chin getting it. Madison Keeney with that terrific last round dive taking the silver. And Jennifer Abel has defended her title for Canada. Grace Reed in 5th. The other home competitors, 7th for Hannah Starling, 9th for Rebecca Gallantry, and Alicia Black in 10. Goodness me, we talk about those half-a marks. Well, in this case, it was 0.05, gave Esther Chin the bronze. But the gold, once again, there's Arturo, who you're speaking to at lunchtime, her coach, saying she hadn't trained for this.
No, look at the smiles. You know, she's an exceptional diver, and she's come out and retained her title.
So it's Canada that take the gold. Jennifer Abel, Madison Keeney with a terrific finish for Australia in 2nd. And Australia take the bronze with Esther Chin.
So we're so excited at the moment, and the next wheel in sort of with nerves and just angry to get started. Oh, absolutely brilliant. A really good atmosphere, especially here in Salt Lake City. The fans are lovely. We were finish off really well and go on a really good It's really exciting and great stuff. We asked week we get into the regular series and it's just really interesting to mind there and playing and supporting them as well. Before you do it,
I need a call. Call?
Ladies and gentlemen, we joined the women's 1 metre springboard final. Coming up next is the final of the men's synchronised 10 metre platform. So cast your eyes up to the very top board, divers of this water. Now each of the pairs must perform one dive from each of the 5 groups, plus one additional dive from a group of their choice. So they must include forward, back, reverse, inward and twist. First 2 rounds have a limited degree of difficulty of 2.0, so the first 2 rounds will be rounds of very basic dives, and the divers are aiming to get as close to the perfect 10 as they can. Rounds 3, 4, 5 and 6 have no limit on the degree of difficulty. So these rounds, these are really exciting. We will see 3.5 and 4.5 somersaults being performed by these gentlemen. As for judging, we add some more judges. This time we have 6 execution judges, 3 execution judges on the left-hand side, 3 on the right. And we put in 5 synchronisation judges, and their job is to only mark the synchronisation of the pairs. Top and bottom marks are discarded, and the remainder multiplied by the degree of difficulty. It was the second day of the swimming competition at the Royal Commonwealth Games in Edinburgh, and medals were at stake in the men's team springboard final.
In the men's individual time trial, the absence of Zimbabwe wicket may have opened the door for the right of co-riders Gareth Thomas and Alex Dowsett. It was a 40-kilometre course through Glasgow City and surrounding countryside.
Alex Dowsett has put all of his preparation into this race. He missed out on the Tour de France, and England's Alex Dowsett is running off the ball.
There were 4 individual gymnastics medals to be won later on day 8 in the women's vault. Canada's Ellie Clark was leading. The German England's Claudia Fragapani left go. The 16-year-old woman landed attempts to take the title. Let's go. So Fragapani wins her third Commonwealth Games ahead of Black. Canada with
Please turn off the flashes on the camera because it can distract us and we really don't want to go wrong because it hurts.
Structural skill goes with male skill. The team boost is a thing that comes from, so it's team doing something. Talking of something that is basically take on physical and provide some different time. One such a skill I like to is very, very vital and it is very what used to be doing for some of the athletes.
springboard.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're nearly ready to welcome the athletes for this final. Count down with me. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the athletes for the men's synchronized 10-meter platform final. Representing England, Tom Daly and James Denny. Representing Australia, Dominic Bedford and Matthew Mitchell. Representing Malaysia, Oitsi Liang and Chu Yui. Representing Canada, Maxime Bouchard and Bisson Riendao. Okay, athletes, please make your way to your boards.
Ladies and gentlemen, just to get you in the mood, how about a little bit of support and a warm round of applause for our technical officials this evening?
Gary, thank you very much indeed. I've just had an idea for a program pilot. Leon Taylor and Gary Lineker up on the 10-meter board. I think it will get great Saturday night ratings. Can I sell you on that idea? Maybe not. So we have 4 pairs in the 10-meter synchro. And because we only have 4, we will only be, or they will only be awarding 2 medals, a gold and a silver, up for grabs. There will be no bronze. There should have been 5 pairs, but the Malaysian pair sadly withdrew. Well, the second Malaysian pair withdrew, so we have England, Australia, Malaysia and Canada in that order. And just to set the scene for you, and for anybody new to synchronized diving, in the men's it's 6, in the women it's 5. One thing is similar to both, is the first 2 rounds will be the dives they have to do, not the optional dives. They come from round 3 onwards, but the required dives are in rounds 1 and 2. They are all of the same degree of difficulty. They are all 2.0, so it's basically a little bit like that cycle race on the track where they allow the old pizza man to go around for a bit and then suddenly he goes off the track and they can go hell for leather. A bit like that in there. The first 2 rounds, nothing really much happens. People don't normally drop their 2.0s, do they, Leon? They're just there for show, in effect.
Yeah, they are, but to say that, though, Bob, you can open up a 10-point lead, and as we just saw in the women's 1 metre, 0.05 of a point separated bronze and 4th, so every point counts, and so it's important to get these right. There won't be any big leads opening up, but if you can end up top of the leaderboard after the first 2 rounds, you put yourself in a fantastic attacking position.
Let's see how much attack there is from the newly formed pair of Tom Daley and James Denny. Around about the same age, Daley 20 and James Denny 2. Tom just seems to have been around for a long, long time, doesn't he? But won the World Championship, the individual, at the age of 15. And it's the rudimentary forward 1.5 somersaults with pike to open their program.
Well, there you go. If you had any questions, who's James Denny? How's he going to be next to Tom Daley? There's your answer. Forward, 1.5 somersaults in the pike position. Is he matched for height and strength? Tom's obviously sporting a better tan than James Denny, but that's not unusual. A little bit of splash being thrown up from both divers. Executions will be 8.5, maybe a 9. Synchronizations will be the same. Anything over 52 is excellent, and they get 53.
53.40 to be precise. Look at that. 9s pretty much across the board, apart from 1. 8.5 on execution. Remember, those lines through the marks mean they don't count. So only the ones without lines through will. That's a nice solid start for the English pair. Now the Australians, Dominic Bedgood and Matt Mitchum of Australia. Matt taking part this morning, so he's had a quick turnaround here.
Well, I'm going to say the execution was better from both Australian divers. The rip entry into the water, you could really hear it. It's very echoey in this pool. So opting for the forward 1.5 of the pike position, open pike, synchronization is good, execution is better. I think we might see the Aussies nudge in front of Denny and Daley.
Early days yet, and the marginal 0.6 of a point, but we saw a medal won by 0.05 of a point in the women, so at this stage it means very little. On to the Malaysian pair, winner of the 3-meter here, Utse Liang, along with Chu Yui, 18 years of age. His motto, trust your body, it can achieve beyond what your mind can imagine. Very philosophical for an 18-year-old. 2.0, inward dive, all 2.0s, rounds 1 and 2. Remember, only 4 pairs, so only 2 medals will be awarded.
It's pretty good synchronization. I think Chu Yui, closest to us, was a fraction ahead of Wu, furthest away from us. Let's have a look on the replay. The judges don't get the replay yet, so Chu Yui just winning the race to the water fractionally. So synchronization shouldn't be as high as we saw for the Australians and the Englishmen, but it won't be far off. 54.
2-0 for Utse Liang and Chu Yui. Now, here's Maxime Bouchard. Accident just a few years ago, which nearly rendered him paralyzed, but after retiring, he decided he is at the Commonwealth Games with his young partner Vincent Riendo, and an inward dive for them to start their 6 rounds.
Wow, that's the best synchro yet. That was a mirror image all the way down. Well, I was thinking, well, is this going to be an answer after round 1? That is an absolute delight. 4 out of 4 divers executing that exceptionally well.
We have quality and not quantity here, most definitely in the final of the men's 10-meter synchro platform. Only 4 pairs, and yeah, you might think, well, what kind of a competition is that? Well, they're diving 52s, 53s, 54s in the opening round. We know it's good. Australians are good. Canada and England joint second, and Malaysia in 4th. But until we get to round 3, nothing really starts to move a great deal. And we'll go up into the big tariff dives with all the consequent risk there is. Back with the Daly Denny. Tom Daly, new partner. You may wonder why there's not another partnership here. We'll explain that to you a little later on. We should be seeing a couple of the young guns, but they're injured at the moment, more of which later. Daly and Denny reverse 1.5 somersaults and half a twist.
Well, I must admit, it's a funky choice. It actually carries a high degree of difficulty in actual competition, but all dives done in the first 2 rounds carry a 2.0 degree of difficulty. Tom not quite getting into his pike shape there, so there's a slight discrepancy on the synchronization and the time that they twist. So you can see that they've only just put this together. A little bit raggedy on that one. Oh, that's that word again, raggedy.
Yeah, you love that word.
Raggedy. So 102 is good, but I think that they might fall away a touch with that one.
I think I use it in 3 wheels on my wagon, that word, well before your time. Inward dive for Dominic Bedgood and Matt Mitchum, who you'll recall being the 10-meter individual champion with that dramatic last round in Beijing when he got 112 marks. Final dive, this one much more straightforward. Inward dive for him and Bedgood for Australia.
Well, the Australians were a little bit off on that as well. They hit the water at the same time. Execution was excellent. But if we have a look on the replay, you'll see a difference in the pike shape. So Matt Mitchum very stuck, still in his pike shape. Dominic, his younger partner, opened out a lot earlier. So synchro shouldn't really get more than an 8 because of that difference in movement, in synchronization. And I think they'll be top of the leaderboard and ahead of the English boys.
And the great thing about synchro is we watch the marks 51, 105. These are the kind of dives that you're able to look at home and go, no, that wasn't quite right. I could see that wasn't quite right. And that's where synchro kind of brings a few more people in. When you have individual dives, you look at very technical things. With synchro, you can visibly see when things aren't quite right.
Absolutely.
Utse Liang and Chu Yui of Malaysia. Everybody bunched together pretty much after round 1. And they will continue their progress, or try to anyway, with the reverse dive in round 2.
Very good reverse dive in the piked position, so standing forwards on the diving board, swinging your arms. In this occasion, blocking, touching the toes. That's good synchronization. Good alignment, so same distance from the diving board. Wow, Malaysia could go top of the leaderboard. That's 2 good, solid synchronization, limited degree of difficulty dives in this synchro competition. It is.
Utse Liang and Chu Yui go joint first with Australia. At the moment, 3 points above the English pairing of Daly and Denny, with Canada still to come, who had a very impressive start for Maxime Bouchard and his young partner on this, 23-year-old Maxim and 17-year-old Riendo. Got 3 golds at the Canadian tournament last year, so looks to be in decent form. Here's his reverse dive for Canada.
Wow, I'm impressed with this young pairing. That's an excellent second round dive, reverse dive in the pike position. We're able to compare and contrast here with Team Malaysia, who just performed the same dive. Now, are they differing distances from the diving board? No, the alignment is very good. Execution is spot on. That could be another 52, 53, and if it is, it's still super bunched up and all to play for. Look at that, 105 as well.
Doing very well so far, yeah, up to 105 off 2 dives, 52.2. They are, at the moment, the class act. And the best pairing we're seeing, England are down in 4th place. And only 2 medals to be awarded, to remind you. Canada and Australia in 1 and 2. But at the moment it'll be joint silvers because they are locked together at 105. Daly and Denny would miss out. Before we get to round 3, very quickly about Goodfellow and Lee. What's happening with the other pair who should have been here?
Yeah, Daniel Goodfellow and Matty Lee have been taking the world stage this year as the synchro pair for GB diving, but both have a synchronised elbow injury, both on the same side. I think it's their right elbow, which is a real shame. So I wish those two healing wishes. Get better soon and all that jazz, and be good to see you back on the boards. And we've got another pair in this one to keep you on your toes, or you keep them on your toes.
Well, don't get too alarmed just yet. First 2 rounds are really just kind of posturing in a way. This is where things get serious. Once we get into the 3s, you know the competition has begun, and this is where it really begins. 3.2 for Daly and Denny, inward 3.5 somersaults with tuck. There's your count in.
Oh, it's excellent synchronisation. Spin speeds are good. Distance from the diving board is fine. Entries are atrocious. They won't mind me saying that. Look at those spin speeds, all good, and then they both empty the pool. Double surfboard moment. Oh, I'm hoping not to say that. Execution will only be 7s because of the amount of splash. Synchro's good. 8.5, maybe a 9 on synchro. 8s on synchro. Come on, judges, that was better than that.
Yeah, I thought synchro was all right. Again, at home you're going, that's worth a 9, that's worth a 9. Well, not according to the judges, it's worth an 8. There was an 8.5, but that gets discarded. Finding life a little bit tough. Early stages here, but 3 more rounds to go after this. Plenty of reparation work still to be done, and can be done by Daly and Denny. Matt Mitchum mentioned been involved in the 3-meter earlier on today. Back for the 10-meter now. Having a busy week. Didn't do the 3-meter individual. We'll be doing the 10-meter platform individual up against Daly later on.
Well, there you go. That's Australia's answer to Team England, leaving the door slightly open. Daly and Denny, good synchro, but poor entries into the water. The Australians have got the synchro going on here, and they also get their entries. Matt Mitchum a little bit further away from the diving board. So Matt Mitchum's execution is excellent. I now have rewatched Dominic's. He does throw up too much splash, so he will get penalised. His is 6.5. Matty Mitchum 8.5. Synchro's a bit more so. Actually, there's only a 10-point difference between Australia and England.
The jazz hands of Matt Mitchum, who has an excellent book out, by the way. Really worth reading. Sports books are, well, curate's egg, aren't they, to be honest? But his autobiography is a warts and all. Utse Liang and Chu Yui of Malaysia in joint second after round 2. Into the 3s they go in degree of difficulty, and they will have a forward 3.5 somersaults to perform right now.
Well, there you go, lower degree of difficulty. Chu Yui closest to us, launching himself on the platform, moving further away than his partner U, hitting the water first, rolling over. Execution marks will be low for Chu Yui. U has nailed his, so it'll be a mixed bag on the synchro. 7 maybe from me on the synchro.
7.5s, 7 and 7.5 discarded, 8.5 on one side and 7 on the execution on the other, so they have just slipped in behind England, promoting them by place, but it's very, very tight between second and third. Not quite so tight between first and second, but this is the pairing that might just shake things up a bit here. They've looked good so far, but they've not really been tested as yet. Now they will be. 4, 3.5 for them, with Pike for Bouchard and Riendo of Canada.
Well, I'm not quite sure on the technique there. I've never seen that before. Both divers standing there with their arms above their head as they ran to the end. Seemed to work for them, though. Spin speeds are good, differing distances from the diving board, but that's the best synchro we've seen. On the front 3.5, certainly. Spin speed's good, edges into water same time, differing distance. 8s on synchro, probably. Maybe the same on execution. Look at that, 8, bingo.
Well, I know taxis are hard to come by in Edinburgh, but we don't need to hail them quite this early, boys. Bouchard and Riendo up into second, below Australia and above England. There's confirmation for you. The Australians have got a 7-point advantage, or thereabouts, over Canada, who have a couple of points over England, and the same pretty much between England and Malaysia. So nothing really sorting out yet. Still very, very tight. The only little extra step has been taken by Australia. Mitchum and Bedgood looking okay, but everybody's looking all right. Round 4 of 6. Good support from all the Commonwealth nations involved in the pool. There aren't too many of them, of course. Malaysia, Australia, England, Scotland, Jamaica, Tonga we had this morning, New Zealand, of course. Don't miss anybody. Did I say Canada along the way? There's pretty much all the nations in diving. And India, of course, sorry, to mention the Indians who are involved, who've come back from Delhi 4 years ago. Here come Daly and Denny, back 3.5 somersaults, 3.6, big tariff.
Oh, it is big DD. Should have had 8. Oh, what a shame. So, it's all looking good so far. Great synchronisation. This might be James Denny's experience, lack of experience showing up there as he surfs way over Tom. Nails his back 3.5 pipe. Tom's is worth 7.5, 8, which is good. And James Denny, unfortunately, sails right over onto the front side of his body. It's okay. Still dives to go. Synchronisation, okay, 6, 6.5. They proved to be critical.
Tom looks rather quizzically up at the scoreboard. I think he knew what was coming. And those are the marks that are not going to help them towards either a gold and a silver. Here are our current leaders, who will be buoyed by that. They'll be taking a note of everything that's happening around them. Matt Mitchum always does, very observant. Reverse 3.5 somersaults, 3.4 with tuck. Currently just got the edge on the rest of the field, but only marginally. Just to put a bit more of a chasm between them and the rest. Reverse 3.5 somersaults with tuck.
Oh, well, we've almost seen exactly the same thing happen. Mitchum, the experienced diver, puts his right on his head and it's clean. Dominic Bedgood, less experienced, only 19 years old, puts his on his face almost, over-rotates onto the front side of his body. He'll only get a 5, not quite as much of a drop, but that means that Australia haven't capitalised on the error from Daly and Denny.
That has most definitely opened the door for Canada. 66.3. Yeah, I'm not sure you're going to get much of a smile from Matt Mitchum. More of a grimace, really, with his younger partner. We'll go and discuss it with the coach, but I think they know exactly what they did wrong there. And the Malaysians, most certainly not out of it. They're still very much in contention. Going to up the ante from the 3 they had in the previous round to 3.2 this time. Inward 3.5 somersaults, waiting for the referee to blow the whistle. I think we're ready to go. Maybe they weren't quite ready to go. 3.2 degree of difficulty. They are 4th at the moment, but if they get this right, they could project themselves above Canada, England and Australia into first place.
Oh, right on cue. They've had some tremendous effort. I wasn't sure which way it would go. That's the best dive we've seen this round. Great synchronisation, bag full of 9s for synchro. Execution, of course, when the scores come up, you'll see that some are crossed through. Those are the scores that don't count, averaging out. So you get 2 marks for execution, 1 for each diver that count, and then the 3 synchronisation marks. The scores without the crosses through them count, times by the degree of difficulty, 83.52.
So 2 marks on the left, 3 marks on the right, and they go towards the total which they have just received, which puts them into the lead. Malaysia leapfrogging Australia and England. But to me, the most consistent pair thus far has been these two, which is, of course, the commentator's curse, which I always get accused of by Leon Taylor, so I should say no more. Let's just describe the dive for you. Inward 3.5 somersaults, tuck 3.2 for Maxime Bouchard and Vincent Riendo.
Well, when you teed it up,
I took it back.
You can't take the commentator curse back.
Did.
Excuse me, will I trip over my words? It's been a long day. Well, there you go. As predicted by Bob Ballard, who teed them up to say these guys are good. They go and make a bit of a hash-up and a hodgepodge of that one. Synchro's off. Execution is off by one of them only, and therefore less than 60 points. And their consistency is now gone to inconsistency.
If I was really that good at influencing, I'd be a commentator for hire who could come in and affect the outcome of events. I can't, I don't, and I won't.
I think we know we're joking, but it's quite funny every time you say something, someone drops, isn't it?
End of round 4. Malaysia, Australia, England, Canada are the 1, 2, 3, 4. So my favourites to go on and win it now find themselves in reverse gear. But there's not much between 1 and 2. There's a little bit of a gap now between 2 and 3. And fairly tight between 3 and 4. But there are still plenty of time. 2 more rounds to go. A lot can change in 2 rounds, especially with the degree of difficulty we're talking about here. 3.4, Daly and Denny. Reverse 3.5 somersaults. They're getting all the applause and all the acclaim of the crowd that will hopefully encourage them. But some ground to be made up here. Need to find them both in synchronization and both executing this as well as they can. 3rd place for England right now.
Yeah, that's better. Good synchronization. James Denny just over-rotating, not quite as much as he did on the previous dive. All good, all good, all good. James just over-rotating, throwing up loads of splash, so his score will be low, which is a shame because the synchro was good. I think that might be game over for a medal. Remember, there's only 2 medals in this event. Only 4 competitors. Gold and silver being given out. Yeah,
I kind of feel sorry for James Denny. He's not had a lot of time, if any, really, to prepare with Tom. And the lack of training time is starting to show, ragged at the edges. He just passed the 300 barrier with that. However, because the dives are quite complicated and quite intricate, other things that can go wrong for the other pairings yet. Inward 3.5 somersaults with tuck for Dominic Bedgood and his more experienced diving partner, Matt Mitchum of Australia.
Well, that's more experience, but still can make mistakes. Both Mitchum and Bedgood going over as they enter the water there. This is a little bit easier than their previous round dives. 3.2. There we go. Over they go. Good synchro at differing distances from the diving board as well. It's a low-scoring dive. It still keeps it, well, keeps everyone in it. Like, what's happening? No one wants to win this. Maybe Waterfield and I. Pete, I know you're at home watching this. We should be in this, mate. I know we're. I'm long retired.
I
it's
like
wide open.
No, I like the idea of Taylor and Lineker. I think that could work fantastically. Yeah. Obviously not Graham Taylor and Lineker, because that wouldn't work at all.
I've got a Commonwealth silver and bronze. I need a gold. I could have headed into this one anyway.
Right, on to Utse Liang and Chu Yui of Malaysia, current leaders. Now, come on, boys. Let's get the quality back up to where it needs to be. 3.3 degree of difficulty. So that helps with the multiplication of the scores they will get, both execution and synchronized. Well, they do take their time, these boys. I keep thinking the whistle hasn't gone, but they looks like they're waiting for a takeaway to arrive before they go. They are ready now. Back 3.5 somersaults with tuck. The leaders after round 4.
Wow, that was a little bit of mistake from the current leaders, feeling the pressure. So back with 3.5 somersaults in the tuck position. Looking good so far, slightly off on the spin speeds, but then both divers go way over, so execution marks will be low. 4.5s, 5s maybe for both divers. So, what's going on here? No one wants to win this, do they? No one.
I was going to ask you that very self-same question. What is going on here? Because after a promising start where everybody looked to be in rhythm, they've lost their rhythm. It looks like me on the dance floor at the moment.
We did say that when the optional bounce starts, things start to go here and there, and these are the most difficult dives humanly possible, and because of that, they start to go wrong.
They are going wrong. Now, can somebody right the wrong? Going to be Maxime Bouchard and Vincent Riendeau. I shall say nothing to put the mouth on them this time, apart from a back 3.5 somersault is coming up next from them. 3.3 and 81.15 will give them the lead above Malaysia, who currently are top of the standings. Only marginally, though, from Australia.
Well, I don't think the Canadians really want it as well. The synchro's okay, differing distances is off. No, yeah, spin speeds, flat feet, boots on, over they go. Diver closest to us, throwing up a, I don't know, that's a bit better than the Malaysians. I don't know where that's going to put them. They're bunched up again, right?
It has, yeah, because last to first, only 14 points separate them. That's nothing. 309.42, that's an okay 73 odd. 73.26 to be precise. So Canada move into third place just behind the Australians. So this is how it looks. Going into the final round, Utse Liang and Chu Yui, 3:17.31. About 7 points clear of Australia, who are very, very tight with Canada in third. And then England, well, they've got a lot to do, but it's 14 points behind the lead and 7 points behind second place. And there's a huge, huge dive to come from Denny and Daly. I should give it the right way around, I suppose, because seniority for the man who's been diving at top level for, well, it's almost a decade now, I suppose. Forward 4.5 somersaults with tuck. This is an amazing dive. Let's talk about the intricacies of this before they get underway, Leon.
Oh, they're going to run to the end, pop up, spin around 4.5 times, disappear into water with no splash in perfect synchronisation.
That's in theory. Let's see what happens in practice. Daly and Denny, last dive. It could... Let's hope it is.
Oh, the best still last. Get in! Yes! Right, now, the pressure's on. The place are on their feet. I'm on my feet. That is just what we needed to put pressure on. That's going to get way over 90 points. They've absolutely smashed it. Wow, will that be good enough for a medal? 3 pairs to go, and let's wait and see. There's the benchmark, there's the gauntlet. Let's see what Australia, Malaysia and Canada think to that.
Told you it was big. Look at those marks. That is big. 95.46. Almost 400 marks. Where did that come from? That came out of absolutely nowhere. They're celebrating if they got a medal. Not quite yet. Don't count your chickens, but that's...
They're not. They're celebrating nailing one of the hardest dives in the world in the Commonwealth Games.
Yeah, and they do it with aplomb. Let's see how the Australians respond. They've got a big one of their own now. 3.6 is the degree of difficulty. Not quite as high as the English pair, but nonetheless, they have the advantage of quite a few points going into this round. Back 2.5 somersaults, 2.5 twists for Bedgood and Mitchum. Their last hurrah.
Oh, they picked up the gauntlet. Wow, this will be close. This will be close. Now, which way is it going to go? This is a back 2.5 somersaults, 2.5 twists. This is going to be ultra tight, ultra tight. They might have, oh goodness. Let's wait and see what the scores are, because I can't split them. That is bang on the money. That's going to get 85 points plus, and if it does, well, there you go.
88.56. Can you believe the gap between first and second is 0.18 of a point?
Holy moly.
399.54 plays 399.36, and it's in favour of those two. Matt Mitchum's got 2 silvers so far. Maybe now, considering the prospect of a gold medal. England cannot win it. Australia still can. Only 2 medals, 2 more pairs to go in what's turned out to be a very eventful 10-meter synchro. The quality has not been there until the last two dives, to be honest, but it's picking up at the right time. Here it comes, the 3.2, so a lower tariff dive for the Malaysians. In fact, well, 82.2 will put them above the Australians. 82.05 will put them second above England. It's a back 2.5 somersaults, 1.5 twists in the pike position for the Malaysians.
Oh, so the Malaysians are off. That's a 3.2 degree of difficulty. That will not be good enough to get above Australia or England, because they might as well be joint, Australia and England. They're slightly out of time. Execution's off. They will be 10 points, 20 points behind, 10 points behind. Lower degree of difficulty, 3.2. Good effort from Malaysia, but no medal today.
Third place, the best they can do, and there is no medal for third because there are only 4 pairs. So there's only one question remaining. Can Canada do it? Australia think they have the gold. England believe they have the silver. There is only one pairing that can prevent that from happening. And the equation is very straightforward. 90, which means 9.5. That's a big ask of Maxime Bouchard and Vincent Riendeau. There's not much margin for her in terms of second either. They've got it 9.4, so basically it's 90 points or bust in terms of medals. 3.2 again, the degree of difficulty is not high compared to the others. Back 2.5 somersaults, 1.5 twists. This for a medal or not, as the case may be for Canada, Bouchard and Riendeau.
Well, it's good, but that won't be good enough for a medal. 3.2 degree of difficulty. They're going to come in third or fourth, so the medals will go to Australia and England, and they are split by the narrowest of margin. It's an okay dive from the Canadians. They dive well all the way through. They made that one mistake. They'd be kicking themselves, but loads of people made mistakes. That's your end result. Amazing.
8 and a 7.5 on the right-hand side. 7.5 and 8 on the execution for Canada. They finish in 4th place. They look like they might be the winners at one stage. Malaysia finishing in 3rd. And let me just repeat this again for you. 0.18 of a mark in a 400 competition. Australia 399.54. England 399.36. So let's say the makeshift partnership of Daly and Denny have managed to pull it out of the bag with that 6th round dive when everything looked lost. I think we pretty much had written off their chances of getting a medal, to be absolutely honest. But when you go 3.6 in the locker or 3.8 in the locker, then all kinds of things are possible, and they made it possible with that final round dive. Not quite ultimately enough to get the gold, but only denied by 0.18. And the Australians, who picked up minor medals all the way through, have their first gold of the week. Dominic Bedgood and Matt Mitchum, 2 silvers, now a gold for him, almost at 400, as indeed were England. Daly and Denny, 399.36. Malaysians threatened, as indeed do the Canadians, but neither of them will get medals, only 4 pairs, and so a gold and a silver awarded. And that will be very, very soon indeed. That was a very interesting competition because it had good, bad, it had an awful lot of indifferent as well. But that last round is where things really do start to happen, both the individual and let's have a look at some of the dives of Denny and Daly. When they got it together right at the very end, smiles were back on the faces. A lot of grimaces when there were. The Australian pair put in some very good performances. Canadian pair, as they started strongly, but as the tariff was upped. But there's the man who will be picking up the gold medal along with his partner, Matthew Mitchum. And as tight as it could possibly be, but it is the silver for England and the gold medal for Australia in the 10-meter synchro platform for men.
Kerry Nixon and designer and stylist for the class of 2014 Medal Ceremony.
And Paul Hodgkiss, the original idea was to come up with and design the trays, the medals and gifts.
I'm Jonathan Boyd, and I designed medals for the 2014 Commonwealth Games.
We decided to use silk for the dress and print onto silk because it's summer and we wanted a lighter dress fabric than traditional smashing. So it presented quite a big challenge. We collaborated with the Centre for Advanced Textiles and they helped us print out every single pattern piece, which we then cut out, and the tailor made up the dress from that. We've used Paris tweed, which is my favourite fabric, which has been hand woven up in the Hebrides, especially for this project.
I just knew that we could produce the most tactile, beautiful, bang-on brand gift that glasses would offer. We had wood that I've been storing for up to 15 years. The piece of wood was so beautiful, they couldn't get used for anything. It became a bit of a standing joke. It's completely unorthodox to put a dirty, great big shaped lump of nature onto a finely tuned machine. However, we do have a big Bertha, the planer, and she can handle it. They're sawn, they're planed, sanded into block sizes. Then the blocks went onto a series of 3 handles. It's moving fast and you stay still, and you get an even coat all the way around. The tray very much has the same amount of design, inspiration and creation to it. I had to keep the consistency of the medal design, and my job in this instance is to keep that concept alive.
The medals go through a very complicated 15-part process. The only way that we work as sort of doers, and if we were a small team, is that's the old-fashioned way and just working medals by hand. The wax is made in a mould, which is then cast into metal. And then there's a process of cleaning them up before finishing and polishing. And they take about 3 days to make each one. So that's sort of the fun of it, I think. For us, it was about making something that had blood, sweat and tears, like athletes have when they train.
I don't think it's going to hit me actually until I'm out there in the stadium. It's going to be my spine tingly moment, I think.
Like gemstones, if you treat them correctly to the correct stages, they are absolutely beautiful. I think that they were sitting up there waiting for us. I really honestly do.
Talks about Glasgow, it talks about heritage, and the fact that Glasgow is a city that does things in a different way.
Ladies and gentlemen, please keep your seats. The medal ceremony will be up in a couple of minutes. President, Commonwealth Games Canada, Linda Cuthbert. The winner of the bronze medal, representing Australia, Esther Chin. The winner of the silver medal, representing Australia, Madison Keeney. Gold medalist and Commonwealth champion with a score of 287.25, representing Canada, Jennifer Abel. Ladies and gentlemen, Ladies and gentlemen, we still have one medal ceremony to go, so please keep your seats. Just as a reminder, as there are only 4 teams entered in the men's synchronised 10-metre platform final tonight, only gold and silver medals will be awarded. No bronze medal will be awarded. This is in line with the Commonwealth Games Federation rules. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the medal ceremonies for the men's synchronised 10-metre platform. Acting by representing the Commonwealth.
Well. What a competition that turned out to be. 10-metre synchro platform, always eventful. Particularly so here in Edinburgh. We had not a clue who were going to win the medals there. Just a reminder, only a gold and a silver will be awarded because of the fact there's only 4 pairs. So no bronze. There will be a vacant platform to the right of Matt Mitchum. But that was decided on the very last dive. 88.56 from Australia, 95.46 for England. And the others just could not catch them. Here's Joseph Cassar, Secretary General Commonwealth Games. And silver medal goes to the, well, I was about to say the makeshift pair. Might be the pair of the future here. Tom Daley and James Denny. There were times where it looked like they really hadn't been practicing together at all, not on the same page, and then suddenly, out of nowhere, an amazing final round dive, which launched them into the lead for a bit. And the Australians just responding in kind. Well, not quite with the same amount of marks, but enough just to get them over the line, and it was marginal.
Gold medalists and Commonwealth champions with a score of 399.54. Australia.
So Matt Mitchum already with 2 silver medals, has a gold to take back to Australia now, and he and Tom Daley will go head-to-head in the 10-metre individual, and whilst he might have an Olympic gold medal from 2008, medals like this mean a lot to Matt Mitchum. Absolutely thrilled to get that. He's a huggy, kissy kind of boy. Here's Matt Mitchum. And Dominic Bedgood gets his first major international medal. And why not go straight at the gold? Why not? Good stuff from Matt. Good stuff from James and from Tom. Just pipped by 0.18 of a mark. 399 playing 399. Just the 54 and the 36 to separate them in the end. So we will hear for the first time in the diving pool, Advanced Australia Fair, as it's silver for England and gold for Australia. I think they're still trying to find the piece of music. Not quite ready for it yet. Hopefully somebody's brought the Australian anthem with them. Here we go.
Ladies and gentlemen, the national anthem of Australia.
Almost 400 points for both Australia and England. 399.54 against 399.36, which is why Australia have the gold and England have the silver. No bronze, only 4 teams actually competed.
Commonwealth Games. I'm sure you'll agree it was a fantastic session. Congratulations to all the medal winners today. A special congratulations to Jennifer Bell of Canada and of course Team Australia in the men's synchronised platform.